Welcome to Reading the Bible with Pastor. Today we're on Genesis chapter 47, starting at verse 13. Last time we read about how Joseph took care of his family, brought them into Egypt, and settled them into the land of Goshen. But there are other people being affected by the famine, and we'll read about that in what has progressed through the years of the famine. Now there was no food in all the land, for the famine was very severe, so that the land of Egypt and the land of Canaan languished by reason of the famine. And Joseph gathered up all the money that was found in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan in exchange for the grain that they bought. And Joseph brought the money into Pharaoh's house. And when the money was all spent in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan, all the Egyptians came to Joseph and said, "Give us food. Why should we die before your eyes? For our money is gone." And Joseph answered, "Give your livestock, and I will give your food in exchange for your livestock, if your money is gone." So they brought their livestock to Joseph, and Joseph gave them food in exchange for their horses, the flocks, the herds, and the donkeys. And he supplied them with food in exchange for all their livestock that year. When that year was ended, they came to him the following year and said to him, "We will not hide from my lord that our money is all spent. The herds of livestock are my lord's. There is nothing left in the sight of my lord but our bodies and our land. Why should we die before your eyes, both we and our land? Buy us and our land for food, that we with our land will be servants to Pharaoh. And give us seed, that we may live and not die, and that the land may not be desolate." So Joseph bought all the land of Egypt for Pharaoh. For all the Egyptians sold their fields because of the famine was severe on them. The land became Pharaoh's. As for the people, he made servants of them, from one end of Egypt to the other. Only the land of the priests he did not buy, for the priests have a fixed allowance from Pharaoh, and lived on the allowance that Pharaoh gave them. Therefore they did not sell their land. The people, in desperation, have sold off their livestock for food, and now are selling their land and their time themselves in order to survive this famine. What they are becoming is sharecroppers, or much like the feudal system. They are given some land in order to live upon and farm, but they will give some of that food to Pharaoh, to their leader, and live off the rest of what they have. But the land will belong to Pharaoh, and will work the land as sharecroppers. We'll continue with verse 23. Then Joseph said to the people, "Behold, I have this day brought you and your land for Pharaoh. Now here is seed for you, and you shall sow the land. At the harvest you shall give a fifth to Pharaoh, and 4/5 shall be your own, as seed for the field, and as food for yourselves and your households, and as food for your little ones." And they said, "You have saved our lives. May it please my lord, we will be servants to Pharaoh." So Joseph made it a statute concerning the land of Egypt, and it stands to this day, that Pharaoh should have the fifth. The land of the priests alone did not become Pharaoh's. Thus Israel settled in the land of Egypt, in the land of Goshen, and they gained possession in it, and were fruitful and multiplied greatly. And Jacob lived in the land of Egypt 17 years. So the days of Jacob, the years of his life, were 147 years. And when the time drew near that Israel must die, he called his son Joseph, and said to him, "If now I have found favor in your sight, put your hand under my thigh and promise to deal kindly and truly with me. Do not bury me in Egypt, but let me lie with my fathers. Carry me out of Egypt, and bury me in their burying place." He answered, "I will do as you have said." And he said, "Swear to me." And he swore to him. Then Israel bowed himself upon the head of his bed. Jacob here asks Joseph to not let his bones be buried in Egypt, but rather bury him in the burying place of his fathers. Abraham had bought a field from Ephron the Hittite to bury his wife, and there Abraham was buried, and there also Isaac was buried. In fact, Joseph will be buried there as well. At the end of Genesis in chapter 50, we find out about the death, where the bones of Jacob are buried. This is chapter 50, starting at verse 13. For his sons carried him to the land of Canaan, and buried him in the cave of the field at Machpelah, to the east of Mamre, which Abraham bought with a field from Ephron the Hittite to possess as a burying place. So Jacob's bones do make it to the land of Canaan, where his people will reside as they take possession of it later on in the Scriptures. We'll continue next time with Genesis chapter 48, and as always, please subscribe, share this with others so that they may also read the Bible with Pastor.